Welcome back to the channel. We're back with a new commander deck profile with Inspirit, Flagship Vessel. For 3 mana, you get a station, which gets those counters on it. Anytime you tap a creature with power equal to the number of counters you want to put onto it. When it has 1, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put your choice of +1/+1 counter, 2 +1/+1 counters, or 2 charge counters onto 1 target artifact. Could be Inspirit, could be one of your other creatures. And then once it has 8, it gets flying, and other artifacts you control gain hexproof and indestructible, and it becomes a 5/5. So in the deck, we have plenty of ways to make sure we protect Inspirit so that I can keep protecting our other creatures. Plenty of artifacts that do benefit those +1/+1 counters. We already did a modular deck, so we have a different deck if you want to see like more of a modular theme for the Boros commander that came out with this set. Plenty of things that just benefit off of having artifacts on the board. And also, I mean, Optimus Prime is a great fit in this deck, so we have some Transformers here while we're at it. But that's going to be the general overview of the deck, and let's get into it card by card. Starting off, we have Arcane Signet for some mana, of course. For our Transformers, we have RC Sharpshooter for 1 in Boros. You get a 2/2 with First Strike, more than meets the eye for 2. If you want to have it enter as its vehicle side, which is RC Acrobatic Coup. Whenever you cast a spell, target 1 or more creatures or vehicles you control. Put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more creatures or vehicles you control, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. Yeah, and then when it transforms, you can remove 1 or more of those +1/+1 counters and deals that much damage to target creature. You could also wait until you get Inspirit to put those +1/+1 counters onto it. But it's up to like what gameplay you're looking for. Jetfire, Ingenious Scientist, more than meets the eye for 4 in order to get its vehicle side, which is Living Metal, Flying. Play 3 mana to convert it, then adapt 3. It has no +1/+1 counters on, put 3 of those onto it. Once again, benefit off those +1/+1 counters. And then you can remove 1 or more +1/+1 counters from among artifacts you control, not just itself. Target player adds that much colorless mana. It can only be spent to cast non-artifact spells. So you can't use it to cast everything in this deck. Honestly, not that many things in this deck, because a lot of the stuff in this deck is what's called artifacts, but there are a few things that may be beneficial that we'll get to later. Lux Artillery, whenever you cast an artifact creature spell, it gains Sunburst, enters with +1/+1 counters equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. And at the beginning of your end step, if there are 30 more counters among artifacts and creatures you control, aka those charge counters that you put on Inspirit as well. Deal 10 damage to each opponent. So we keep protecting Inspirit, keep our other creatures protected with those +1/+1 counters on them. Super good ability there. If it stays around, of course. Optimus Prime for 5 mana, you get a 4/8. At the beginning of each end step, bolster 1, helping us get some +1/+1 counters onto our other creatures. And when this creature dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control, converted. And it's more than meet the eye for 5, which gives us Optimus Prime, Autobot Leader. His trample is a 6/8, which is pretty good stats. Whenever you attack, bolster 2, which doesn't need to be this creature attacking, it can be any creature attacking. The chosen creature gains trample until end of turn. When that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, convert Optimus back into Optimus. So pretty good ability there. Then we have Shortcut, Genesis Engine, for a little bit of draw power there. As Crew 8, which I mean, with all +1/+1 counters supporting on things, it could easily get something up to 8. And also, if we can make this into an artifact creature, that's just enough to crew in Spirit while we're at it. Well, station in Spirit. But yeah, super fun ability there. Slicer, Hard Muscle. It's not all about with more than meets the eye, double strike case, keep passing around to your opponents so they keep dealing damage to each other. We keep putting +1/+1 counters onto it as well while we're at it, so they're dealing more and more damage to each other, and they don't have a way to stop it, because once it's back under our control, it gets hexproof and indestructible. And also, if we don't hand it out, it's the only thing, is that we do have to convert it into Slicer, High Speed Antagonist. First strike case, deals combat damage to a player, convert it at the end of combat. But I mean, if we give it the trample treatment with Optimus, that could be a lot of damage. Soul Ring for some additional mana, Swift of Boots. We want to make sure our stuff can attack the turn it comes down, so we may as well put some boots in the stack. Talisman Conviction, Talisman Creativity, and Talisman Progress for that additional mana, along with them just being indestructible, so it's a nice source of mana with the stack. The Regalia, whenever it attacks, looking through the top cards of the library until you get a land, put on the battlefield some additional ramp with the stack. It's also an artifact, so it's indestructibleness that we like to see. And Winding Clock to make sure we keep untapping all of our artifacts so that we can keep dealing damage with them. As in Falconer, each creature you control with +1/+1 counter and it has flying. We may as well not wait until we could just, deal damage with Slicer. Let's also swing in with him ourselves. Following that, we have Arcbound Shikari. For 3 mana, whenever it enters battlefield, put +1/+1 counter on each other artifact creature you control, allowing this additional +1/+1 counters in order to get all the benefits we have from this +1/+1 counters while we're at it, allowing everything to fly with Amazon and Falconer at that point. Cyberdrive Awakener, other artifact creatures you control have flying, allowing us to, another way to gain flying. It's not just during our turn and not just ones with +1/+1 counters, but during our turn. Until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. I mean, that's 14 4/4s if we have all of them on the battlefield. That's a lot of damage potentially. Dust Legion Duelist, whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, draw a card. Only happens once each turn, and we don't have that many ways to put +1/+1 counters on it, but a little bit of draw power is nice. Enthusiastic Mechanaut, in order for that little bit of cost reduction, it's nice. Same with Deerium Sculptor and Foundry Inspector. Cold Forged Opteryx, for 2 mana, you get a 1/3. Each legendary permanent you control has a ward 2. Most of our, like I said, we want to make sure we have ways to protect our commander, so let's give it that ward while we're at it. Herald of Secret Streams, why just wait till they can block our stuff with flying? Let's just make all our stuff with the +1/+1 counters unblockable. Joyra, Weatherlight Captain, whenever you cast a story spell, draw a card, aka all of our artifacts that we have in the stack. May as well. Kilo, Apogee Mine, it has haste, it likes to proliferate. We have plenty of +1/+1 counters to proliferate. We have charge counters to proliferate. It's a really good card in the stack. Lae'zel, Locket's Champion, we may as well put 2 +1/+1 counters on things. One we're putting those +1/+1 counters onto things. Makehas, the Luminarch, enters put +1/+1 counter on. Sorry, enters with X +1/+1 counters onto it. Like I said, this may be the card to use Jetfire's ability with, because a counter with plenty of +1/+1 counters on it, give it flying, give it an unblockable, and also you can remove the counters in order to put them onto your other creatures, I guess, sure. Padim, Console of Innovations. Artifacts you control have hexproof, another way of protection for our commander there. And also, if you have the highest mana value artifact, you get to draw a card. Nice to see that too. Riku, Resourceful Guardian. Then you put one or more counters on a creature until end turn. That creature can't be blocked. So, once again, if we put enough +1/+1 counters onto one of our artifact creatures, and it can swing in for big damage. Sephiroth Fallen Hero, in order to sacrifice some of our things with the +1/+1 counters on them, or buff our other things with the +1/+1 counters on them, so we can deal some big damage there. Solemn Simulacrum, I mean, we put the counters on it, right? Or we just use it for the mana and its draw power. Steel Overseer, put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. Once again, we want the +1/+1 counters on them. Drumming Bird, in order to proliferate not just our commander, but also those +1/+1 counters. And Urza, Lord High Artificer, in order to keep getting those 0/0 constructs, that'll be strong artifacts, which will put those +1/+1 counters on. And you also tap untapped artifacts you control for some mana. Shuffle your library, then exile a top card. Until end turn, you may play that card without playing its mana cost. Don't know what it'd be, but those other abilities are quite nice. Smothering Tide, in order to get some additional artifacts on the battlefield. Doctor Spy Network, in order to get some artifact creatures, aka Doctors. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage play, draw a card. Both are fine abilities with this deck. And then for our instance, we have a lot of protection for our commander. Chroma's Will for make sure our things could swing in, but also protection for them. Offer You Can't Refuse, Arcane Denial for some counter spells, Boral's Charm for the Indestructible. Oh no, wait, yeah, against Indestructible. Brainstorm, or look at the top cards of our deck, get the one we actually want out of our deck. Chaos Warp, in order to give our opponent the thing they want out of their deck every time. Counterspell for another counterspell. Desynchronization, return each non-land permanent to it's not historic to its owner's hand, aka almost none of our stuff and most of our opponent's stuff. Disenchant, a little bit of removal. Dispatch for a little bit of removal. Dolphin's Veto, another form of protection in that counterspell. Generous Gift, Pet to Exile for that removal. Serum Snare, a little bit of proliferation on top of our counter spells. Slip out the back, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, phases out, a little bit of protection, especially if we've already made our commander into a creature. Source Pleasure for that removal, and Unbreakable Formation for a little bit more protection while we're at it. Blasphemous Act for a board wipe. And, you know, if we have all artifacts and our opponent doesn't, it could potentially just be our opponent's have Contentious Plan for that proliferation. A little bit of draw power too. Damning Verdict, destroy all of our opponent's creatures, none of ours. Fabricate in order to get our best artifact out of our deck and right into our hand. Justice's Will for that mana to do the big plays that we want to do one turn. One with the machine, draw cards equal to highest mana value among artifacts you control. Jennings Optimus Prime at 6, which is quite a good deal for 4 mana. Organic Extinction, destroy all non-artifact creatures. Like I said, most of our opponent's stuff we want to remove. We don't want to get rid of our stuff though. Really, we just want to keep our Autobots around. Requisition Raid, put some plus on counters or some removal depending what you need. Tezzer's Gambit, a little bit of extra proliferation for our commander there. Dog Cast for some additional draw power. Voyage Home for additional draw power. Wait to Pass. I mean, we are going to inevitably get some of our stuff removed, no matter how much protection we have. So let's return it all to the battlefield. And Wave Goodbye. Return each creature without a plus one counter on it to its owner's hand, aka all of our opponent's stuff and none of ours. But that's the deck there. If you guys like the deck, make sure to like the video. If you want to see more like this, subscribe so you can stay tuned for future videos. And comment on how you'd like to run the deck. I hope you have a great rest of the day.